Hi, friends. So today I'm going to share with you our class writing goals this year. So here I have, there are two important goals that we are going to achieve throughout the year. Not right away. We're going to slowly dive and practice these little tiny goals. But we have two main goals as writers this year. And one of them is to make sure that my writing is interesting for my reader. So as writers, we are telling a story. And like some of you, when we watch a movie, um, if the story is really interesting to us, then we continue to watch the movie. And if it's not interesting and it's just boring to us, then we will usually turn off that TV. And it's the same with reading stories. Um, have you ever opened up a book and kind of read one or even listened to one and it was just boring to you and you didn't really like it? And so, you just close that book and you don't open it up ever again. So, and that's because that book was just not interesting. And so that is going to be our first focus, is to make our writing interesting, because as us writers, we are writing so that we can share our stories, and our readers, your readers will be me, Miss Craig. Your readers will be your classmates. Your readers will be your family members, whether it's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncles, siblings. You will be sharing your writing so much this year. And so you will have readers. And that will be our one goal this year, is focusing on making our writing interesting. And we can do that in 3 ways. And that is by adding details. So we can add details in many ways. I'm not going to get into it this much because we're not learning about it quite yet. But that's one way that's something we're going to learn this year to make our writing super interesting. You might have heard triple scoop words, or interesting words, or star words. And this is just a nice way to swap out some boring words that we kind of always use, and make them really, really interesting. And lastly, to make our writing super interesting, is to use similes. You may or may not know what a simile is, and that's okay, because this year we're going to be going through each of those different ways to make our writing super interesting. So that's what we're going to be focusing on all year long. And right now, these check boxes are empty. And so when we've learned how to add details, and we've been practicing for a couple weeks adding details, and we're just amazing at adding details in our writing, then Miss Craig will put a nice big check beside the strategies that we are using. So that's how we are going to make our writing interesting. Okay. The other part of our goal as writers is to make sure my writing is clear for my reader. And that's really, really, really important as young writers. So when we are writing, we want to make sure that our readers can read what we are writing, so that they can enjoy your lovely stories that you create. And we are going to be focusing on 2 things throughout the year, and that is spacing. So we want to make sure that each word is separated from another word, and we do our finger spaces. That way we have nice spacing between our words, and it makes our writing a little bit more clear for our readers to read. Another thing that we will slowly work on is spelling. And so for spelling, I have 2 different things that we will slowly work on, and that's the Gummit strategy. So I've kind of lightly talked about the Gummit strategy, but I have so much more to teach about that. And we will take lots of time to practice it. And lastly, we will have the no excuse words. And it's just a list of words that us grade 1 writers and grade 2 writers should know how to spell, but you will get a nice little template of all the words, and you can keep it in your writers folder close to you so that you can look at them, kind of like a word wall that we sometimes often see and use in our classrooms. So those are 2 different ways that we can make our writing clear for our readers. And as before, when we get super, super good at spacing, and it's been a couple weeks and I'm seeing all of your lovely stories and I'm noticing, wow, we are just amazing at spacing, then we are going to check mark it. And we can refer back to our class writing goals to see what we are accomplishing and then what our next steps are in making either our writing interesting and learning to make our writing super clear.